As a next opening speech, I would like to invite the advisor to the President of Latvia on modern state and sustainability issues, Elina Pinto. Welcome.
Dear conference guests, the organizers, and very much so also the teams that remained at home for all of you that are investing daily efforts in caring for nature and protecting it. It is my great honor to greet you today on behalf of the President of Latvia, Mr. Egils Levits, who is currently on a mission to New York representing Latvia at the UN Climate and Sustainability Summit. So he couldn't be here with you today. However, he would like to express his warm welcome to you all in Latvia, as well as to express our gratitude for the work, for the passion, for the contribution and determination that you all invest in caring for protected areas, for biodiversity and landscapes. And when talking about nature, inevitably Latvians think of themselves because it's such a big part of us, as the previous speaker said. So I cannot but linger also on a personal experience of mine, which was a key personality shaping moment, I must say, which I experienced as a young lawyer, deciding to deliver on my own childhood dream to become an ornithologist instead. And I volunteered to a team of ornithologists and bat researchers that had a field mission in Pape on the south-west coast of the Baltic Sea. And taking my bicycle across the half of Latvia on its back to be there, I spent my nights with the bat researchers helping to account for the bat colonies there, and early mornings with birds, with ornithologists ringing the migrating birds, and the days wandering around the bogs, the dunes, the forests of Pape Natural Reserve. As it happened, one day I got seriously lost. My bicycle got broken, so I spent quite a few hours carrying the bicycle on my back across the dunes and crossing the bogs, just trying to find where the beach shore was. And of course, these kind of experiences, when you're pushed to your limits, surrounded by nature, bring you to that kind of intimacy, and I must admit also very unpoetic frankness that a person can get. But it teaches you that you're such a small part of what's around you, and that you need to respect it, otherwise it will disrespect you. And it was a beautiful, it was a powerful and a real experience, as is the work that you all do on a daily basis. But responsibility towards nature is such an important part of our Latvian identities. It's part of our constitutional identity, it's part of our cultural identity. In terms of constitutionality, our constitution, Satversme, is among the very rare constitutions in the world which expressly refers to the principle of sustainability, as well as to the shared responsibility we all bear for environment and nature, and as well as it establishes an individual and subjective right to benevolent natural environment. This, to me, is a sign of constitutional modernity. This, to me, is a sign of a forward-looking and a participative state. These are notions that we all need to work towards to bring them to life in our daily decisions. This constitution not only binds the state authorities to uphold and raise the standards of environmental and natural protection, but it also establishes a civic duty of each one of us to work towards the common goal. It's a common cause. We see this also in our sort of cultural genocodes, which are our folk songs, dainas. About 270,000 of those have been transcribed, depicting and in a surprisingly beautiful aesthetic form and with high semiotic intensity, the notions of our daily lives, our proximity with nature, and the rights and the role of a person with regard to nature. It's about 20,000 of those that expressly refer to nature, and many more refer to it metaphorically. This is our shared poetic identity. However, too often still today, we fail to bring this poetic identity of ours to life in our political, in our economic, and in our practical choices. And these are the steps that we need to take to remain true not only to our cultural roots, but also to shape a modern, sustainable state which responsibly and proactively cares for nature, for environment in the Baltic Sea region, but also beyond, across Europe. And support to your work is part and parcel of this commitment for Latvia. I like to think of people behind anything that happens on a larger scale. And this week I heard a young environmental activist speak at the World Economic Forum event in New York. She's fighting against the proliferation of plastic and its use across the world. And she said, people power is so much more than people in power. And this phrase resonates with what I think that with regard to nature, we need more people power. We need to get engaged as all, from young to old, from Pape to Istra and beyond. And families, schools, and civil society have a very important role in this. In Latvia, we are very proud to refer to a civic initiative which is called the Big Cleanup. Over the past 11 years or so, this initiative has involved, I would say, soon that those would be the number of all the inhabitants of Latvia. So more than 1 million people in Latvia, but also in our expat communities abroad, have been involved in cleaning up areas from irresponsible dumping of trash, but also bringing more greenness to our cities. And this movement has developed from a very practical initiative, bringing together people of different generations, different ethnic and social backgrounds. It has developed into a proper green philosophy. We also last week saw about 10 Latvian tech companies joining an Estonian-launched initiative called Tech Pledge, which is a commitment to work towards green businesses and so-called green innovation. We also see that our sports sector is starting to think about joining the UN initiative Sports for Climate. In particular, sports sectors such as sports disciplines such as triathlon or rowing, which are so dependent on the natural landscapes and natural environment. So I deeply believe that youth leaders that we saw in record numbers turn out also in Fridays for Future manifestations last week, both in Riga but also across the world. Youth leaders and opinion leaders from inspiring sectors such as tech and innovation, such as culture, such as sports, have a key role in making caring for nature, protecting it and shaping it in a responsible way to make it our common cause. This effort starts at home, but as your presence here witness, it goes beyond one's national borders, as do the challenges. European Union has a very important role globally to play in this domain, and Latvia needs to be ready to play its part. I would like to say that let our common work be directed at this effort, have a very productive, creative and rewarding and interesting conference, and let's be in touch for the steps to take after this conference. Thank you.